Hello. Our new intro just makes me smile every time I watch.
I know, and I love the music. It's free, it's free music from YouTube, but the people that do it, I forget their name. Also, is very fitting for us. I forget what it's like. I don't know. It like the name of the people that create that music is just. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I'll have to. Yeah.
I love it.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, reality is like getting close.
It is. Well, and this week I had new teachers. So we've already kind of started 2 days of professional dress. So no tennis shoes, actual dress shoes. I do have to tell you a funny story, and I'm just going to keep it real for those of our viewers out there. So as I have aged, I think probably people have noticed a change in the hair that they've seen in Doodle and Chat. And I had a lady that I only see at like district meetings come up to me the other day, and she's like, "What are you doing with your hair?" And she's like, "It looks so good." And I was like, "Well, thank you. I'm just letting it go gray." And she was like, "Oh." She didn't know how to respond. And so now every time I see my hair in a camera, I was like, "Yep, I'm just letting it go gray." So
I know you responded on when we put the season 8 reel out. You were like, "Look it's like an evolution of my hair on a reel."
Evolution of my hair. So I got really tickled though. The look on her face when I said, "Yeah, I'm just letting it go gray," and she was like, she didn't even know what to say. Like,
well, is that a good thing or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. So
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, happy Saturday. There you go. Evolution of Mandi's hair.
So it's the second Saturday of the month. Usually this is a Doodle and Chat with Friends episode. July was a hot mess for mostly me, so we had to extend our break, which is fine. I was proud of me for doing that and not trying to muscle through because I have a tendency to do that.
Yep.
And I also did a really good job of asking for help from my friends, which was also significant growth for me.
Look at that. Good job.
You being one of them that I had to lean on. But to take the place of a guest visiting with us or friend being on with us, you and I decided, let's just do a Doodle and Chat with Friends between the two of us. And now we've got, I can't remember Stress Doodle's name, but
James.
Who's the guy that likes the Dole Whip?
James
is here in the comments. See, I can remember all the visuals that go along with people, but I can't remember names. And then we also have Anne. So they don't know it, but they're going to be part of this too. So I was telling Mandi, we're going to do a Doodle and Chat with Friends between Mandi and me. We're going to answer questions. I thought they were going to be questions that we had asked previous guests, because I think we've had over 50 people as friends on, I think. And that's times 8 questions. That's a lot of questions we've asked people.
Yes.
And they are good ones, if I must say so ourselves. So I was cleaning the table that I sit at for here, and it was a hot mess. But every time we're done with a guest or a bowl that knows or a season, which I realized the season, I take the little pieces of paper and I would stuff them in a mason jar or in a mug, and they were filled up all over the table. So I was cleaning the table up, and I showed Mandi this bin of questions that I had, and I was actually really proud of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have asked this many questions to people. But what I realized, I think, Mandi, is it wasn't just questions to people. I think it was every single prompt we've ever done. And even some we haven't done, because I dumped the bowl, everything. So for 8 seasons. And so when I was at Michael's, I wanted to get like a little jar to put them all in, because I thought it would for sure be too small. The jar would be too big, and we'd have lots of room for more questions. I kid you not.
We filled the jar.
You filled the jar. So this is somewhere between 8 seasons worth of questions and prompts and Doodle and Chats at night and Doodle and Chat with Friends, or this is all a Doodle and Chat with Friends. But that looks like way too many to be a Doodle and Chat with Friends only, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. So in other words, we're going to do a Doodle and Chat with Friends between me and you, and James and Anne are going to be part of it. But I don't know what I'm pulling out of here. It could be a poem. It could be a question. It could be a color. It could be an ABC. I don't know what it's going to be. So we're going to have, you didn't know you were in for so much fun today, Mandi.
You know what? I'm about it. Let's do it. Let's see what we get.
So I was thinking I usually pull 8 from the bowl. I was going to do 16 just to kind of mix it up. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. Not that we're going to get through 16, but then we'll have 16 options.
Okay.
Or something like that. So here we go.
So are you saying we have veto power? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. We don't usually lean into the veto power.
We don't have veto power. We do. The bull knows. So
we try to trust it, you know?
Yep.
Oh, for good. I'll just put a whole handful in there. I'm not even going to pick through them. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this jar is full. I'm going to have to give it a name or put some googly eyes on it or something. Or maybe Annabeth can paint it for me or something.
Googly eyes make everything better, in my opinion.
They do. And I forget, I think it was the end of last year, Annabeth found my label maker in my classroom. So yeah, I might have to do a tour of that. Everything has a name and they're ridiculous. It's fun, you know, like Phyllis, the filing cabinet, Phineas, the filing cabinet. So now when my kids ask where things are, like, you know, can I borrow a ruler or a calculator? I go, no, Linus has it. And they're like, what? I'm like, in the back, you know, the shelf, Linus.
Linus the shelf.
So like if they already didn't think I was weird before, when that question comes upon, it's a whole level of just like, whatever, Mrs. Baughcum. So then to top off the labels, which usually just me and my TAs, like we have a stapler named Betty. She's our favorite because she works all the time.
Because what good is a stapler that doesn't work? And I've had those staplers. So
yeah, we did. The janitor should have fixed one. That one got a new name because it had staples sticking out of it. So we called it Fangs. Yes. So now they'll be Betty and Fangs, the staplers.
Nice.
But then Annabeth found my googly eyes. So yeah, now things have googly eyes on them as well, which is
I will pull up to a drive-through sometimes. This would happen at the Starbucks that I used to frequent. We're not going to talk about how often I used to frequent it. And they would put googly eyes on their menu. Always made me happy.
Oh, that is adorable.
Like you pull up and like googly eyes on the Starbucks cup for for whatever was the special. And yep, it always made me happy.
James says he does the same thing. I think if that's what anthropomorphize means, is that
it does.
Right?
Yes.
Vocabulary is not my strength. That's why you're here, Mandi.
I used to teach math. I don't have to know those words. So.
All right, here we go. I think we're ready. I got the bowl. It's full of questions. I tried to get Annabeth to wake up early this morning. She starts school on Tuesday. She was like, Mom, I'm sleeping in. But so it's us. That's okay.
Okay.
What did you label your little doodle and chat?
Oh, it just says doodle and chat for right now.
Oh my gosh, I love the doodle. Look at that.
Yeah.
So cute.
I think that's how I do it most every time. So, and then I usually have a picture of the people in the middle. I actually have a picture of us I could drop in there if I wanted to. So
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me get caught up then. Doodle.
Your camera does not like us today.
No, I'm mad at it right now. And I even cleaned it.
Oh, there we go. It just needed a minute.
Yeah. Maybe it needs, I didn't name, maybe I know what it is.
Camera and the camera.
They didn't get names. They didn't get names, so they're mad.
Yep.
There we go. A doodle in the chat.
So, speaking of that, before you draw, I have to tell you a funny story. So I like to make all of the flyers or one-pagers or whatever for our admin team. If we have to give teachers information, I like to put it into Canva and make it look pretty because that's what I do about things. But they needed a help sheet the other day and we needed it kind of quickly. And so I just threw together with some screenshots, just a step-by-step of how to do something. And I gave it to them. I'm like, guys, she's not pretty, but she'll get the job done. And they looked at me and they're like, so can we use it? I was like, yes, I'm not going to make it pretty right now. I'm just telling you, she's kind of an ugly beast, but she'll get it done. Like, this is just so weird. Can we not refer to this as a she? And I'm like, okay. Well, in my mind, the whole time I'm making, I'm like, well, she's ugly, but she'll work. So yeah, that's that. I mean, I do the same thing with the documents that I make. I'm like, oh, she's so pretty. Look at that.
I do say that too. I'll be like, oh, she's sexy.
Yes, I have said things like that before too. And my team's like, I don't know what to do with that. So we're just gonna let it go.
That's why we get each other.
I know.
I don't know what we're gonna pull from here. I don't have high hopes for this. It's like a paragraph long.
Oh, good.
Oh, it's a question. This would have been one that Annabeth would have handed to me because it was so long. I'm trying to think of who this was. You have said, I've had a lot of happy place time recently, and it's a real sanity saver. I use it to remind me that storms give way to rainbows and sunshine, reflecting on calm, glassy seas. My happy place reminds me that I will reach shore. What is your happy place moment? Who is this from?
I don't remember.
I mean, I know Anne. Maybe this is Anne. Cosma. Because didn't she like to take walks?
We've had a lot of people that have had, like, they've talked about a happy place, you know, that they sit someplace that just relaxes them and helps them clear their mind and gain some clarity. So
this is perfect. Know.
Yeah. So ask the question part again.
What's that?
Ask the question part again.
What is your favorite happy place moment?
Happy place moment.
I'm trying to think of what my happy place is. My couch right now. I really just like it. I like my couch. I can draw on my couch. I can play Stardew Valley on my couch. I can watch my movies on the couch. I like my couch. I need a new couch very badly, but I like my couch because my children are there too, you know?
Right. So I have a question about Stardew Valley before we start drawing this. Are you Stardew Valley on a laptop or are you on?
I use T's laptop. Yes.
So you have the updates.
I do.
Get a laptop and get the updates. So I have not played Stardew because I knew the updates were out and I don't. James says, what?
So Stardew Valley is a game. You can play it on Steam or on the Switch. And it's a farming game. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's a farming game, but there's a storyline. You're willed this is so nerdy. James, you're willed a farm from your grandfather that it's your job to make improvements to, and it's in the town of Stardew Valley. And by upgrading your farm, you help the town. And there's all kinds of quests and secret Easter eggs and all kinds of fun things to do. And there's a whole wiki for it too. Like, and that's how, in depth it is. So this is my first hurrah into any video game this deep. Like, I have never played a game like this game. And for me, it's just, for my age, I feel like it's just, there's not too many buttons to click.
True.
Move around enough. And my children.
Some of my children play it, and so they like to talk about it. So they got it for me on the Switch.
Yeah.
Probably 2 or 3 years ago. And so I have my farm and I have all of that. But when the updates came out, I really, really wanted to play the updates. And I don't have a laptop. I have a Mac, which isn't like, maybe Steam works on a Mac. I don't know.
I think it does, because I might have to switch over to my Mac eventually, because T's like, Mom, I kind of need my computer for school. I'm like, oh yeah, probably. I'm like, I could play it on something else. So,
yep.
Anyway,
so back to my happy place. You were talking about your sofa. My happy place, I have this chair that sits in a corner by a window. And I like to sit there of a morning and drink my coffee. just because I can see out the window, and I really like seeing out the window. It's the back of our house is on a second story, so we're kind of level with the trees, and the trees make me happy. I like to see the leaves blowing in the wind. Super weird, I know. But then I also, when I come home from school, I make another cup of coffee because there might be an addiction, according to my husband. And so I like to make my cup of coffee and sit in that chair when I get home at the end of school too, and just spend 10 or 15 minutes there collecting my thoughts, sometimes watching TikTok, sometimes just sitting there and staring out the window. So that is my happy place.
James and Ann, what about you guys? What is your happy place?
They were also joining in on the video game conversation.
I did play Mini Rush for a while too, as well. I still play Candy Crush. I think I'm in like a level 1,000, a ridiculous 1,000. I think I'm on such a high level on Candy Crush and no one else plays it, that I only play bots right now. So
yeah,
because it's so old and nobody else plays it.
I haven't played Candy Crush in a very long time.
Oh, we all have our own little favorite spots in our houses. That's nice. Anna's is the kitchen because she likes the view of her trees. And then James does most of his doodling from a spot on the couch when it's not 1,000 degrees. I can relate that to that. Although we are getting some beautiful weather.
Yes.
In the Midwest. It can just stay 70, 75, maybe hit 80. But if it doesn't want to go over 80, I am happy with that.
60 to 70 is my happy place. Like if I could get up of a morning and throw in a sweatshirt and be comfortable in the sweatshirt. Yeah. I mean, I can wear shorts with the sweatshirt. I can wear pants with the sweatshirt. But if I can wear a sweatshirt, done.
Yes, I am also happy, very happy in a sweatshirt as well. That does not look like a remote. Oh, well.
I love it. That was good.
That was good. I was like, damn, Bull, way to bring it.
Right. Oh, James says he's going to post some balcony views sometimes. I would love that. We have like a stream that runs through the back of our yard. It actually runs through our entire town. Like you can follow the stream from one end of the town to the other, and it just goes through the backyard of some people. Ours happens to be one of those yards, which is funny because when we moved here, we looked at 3 different houses. Like really looked at 3 different houses, and 2 of them had the stream in the backyard.
That was funny.
That was funny. And so we have all of these trees and stuff. So it almost kind of looks like you're out in the country. Even though we live right smack dab in the middle of town, because we have these weird little stream that runs through the town.
Oh, I just wrecked my couch trying to add cushions. Oh, that doesn't actually look bad. It doesn't look bad from your.
Jody on there.
I did put Jody on there, and she would be. Although she really would be on my. Yeah. I did not realize. So she's our first cat. Like we had a cat before. We did not like that cat. She's our first favorite cat. And let me tell you, I thought she would stay the sweet, innocent, snuggly cat that she's been. And all of a sudden, she's turned on me. She's a teenager, like full on. Like, I'll be sweet to you and I'll follow you around in the morning. And then by the afternoon, she's like, I want nothing to do with you. I might come over and give you a little attention, but psych, I don't want to be near you. I'm like, that is a full-on teenager thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I already had to deal with this. I don't want to deal with it for my cat. I thought she would just love me unconditionally forever. Stinker.
So my daughter, she's a dog person, by the way. One daughter loves dogs. The other daughter loves cats. And the daughter that loves dogs, she's like, you don't want a cat. And other daughter's like, why would you not want a cat? And she's like, because cats are assholes.
I know, but she wasn't an asshole. She was really, really good and sweet. And now she is. I just am like, I survived 2 teenage years. I don't want to have to do that with my cat, but I didn't have a choice. So I'm dealing with it.
So, well, when she said that, I am allergic to cats, so I'm never going to be able to have a cat. We had farm cats, but they lived outside. So I've never had one to snuggle with. So I don't know that temperament of them, but I thought that was funny.
It's all on their terms for certain.
Yes.
Yes. Whereas dogs are just unconditionally like, I love you no matter what.
Yep.
There is a fickleness to cats for sure. All right. This is one question. Yep. Well, we're not dads, so we will have to say parent. Okay. This is a really good questions. This one says, what is your favorite thing about being a dad? So we must have asked one of our dads this question, but I guess we will ask, and I know James has children, I think. Does James have children?
Mm-hmm.
And then Anne does too. And we have children as well. So what is our favorite thing about being a parent?
So now that my children are older and
you have perspective.
I do have some perspective with this. And I've been actually listening because on my admin team, we have like the gamut of ages. Like one of them has a little that just turned 2, up to me, where I have all of my children out of high school and in different stages of life. And my favorite part is just seeing their individuality and how they contribute to the world in their own way. Because as they grow, you just hope they're going to turn into good humans, whatever that looks like. You just hope they're going to turn into good humans. And sometimes, honestly, especially in those teenage years, you're like, oh my God, I've created a psychopath and this is going to be bad. Even sometimes when they were younger, I would be like, I have a psychopath. I hope you don't turn into a serial killer, for real. And then they don't. They turn into good humans and they have their unique perspectives on things. And I love having conversations. I have 4 kids. Love having conversations with all 4 of them and how different their perspectives are on things, but how they just interact with people and make the world better. And so I think that's the part about being a parent now that I can look back on it. I think there were probably times when my kids were younger, I would have been like, I have failed at this. This is not going well.
Well, yeah. So like I have an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old, and they're very different children with, varying, abilities and, mental health things and things like that. And that 18-year-old is, headed to community college. And I mean, it's like, are they ready? Are they going to survive? It's like, I'm like, I deal this out every day to children at school and I believe in it. And yet my child may not be a functional adult. And I'm like, am I wrong? Am I not a good teacher? Because I really did believe this. But needless to say, yesterday we went to their community college, got their ID. They did some, like, we call it adulting. We joke because there are things that even I don't like to do. So we like joke about doing things. And I joke that they adulted so well yesterday. And like, it's just so fun. I'm realizing it's just so fun at that 17 and 18-year-old age to see things come together. And you're like, holy, this is working. Like, look at this human being. I did this. We did this, right? And so I'm just kind of glimpsing at some of that. And then yesterday night, Annabeth is working on some bags that she's making. She's trying to create a little side hustle so she can start saving some money. They're adorable little quilted bags. I'll have to, I'll pitch you on it later, friends. And so she's brought the sewing machine to the kitchen table because she doesn't mind being up in her room, but she wants to sit with us, and it's not a loud sewing machine, so she'll sit while we watch TV and sew. And she's like, Mom, come sit at the table, because I had to work on a reel for us. So I sat at the table and did that. She did sewing, and then all of a sudden, T brings their computer over to the table, because T's usually kind of a lone wolf in our house. They like to do their own thing. And the three of us just sat at the table, did our own creative things, had conversations about stuff, and I just about fell off my chair. It was like one of those things, like when you're looking at the deer in the woods and you don't want to scare it. I wanted to be ecstatic. I almost started crying. I'm like, this is just amazing. I'm like, look at my human beings. We're all here doing our own thing. So I don't know. Yeah. So I guess, parenting is not, when they say it's not for the faint of heart, it really isn't. But I always said I wanted to raise children that were their own people, that did their own thing and could be themselves unconditionally. And I didn't realize how hard that would be, because that's really hard in a world that says they want you to do that, but they really don't value it. And I'm really proud of that right now.
Yep. James said that they're such good friends. That's the other part about my kids that I love. Now, my oldest daughter, who is a doctor, she calls it codependence. And as a matter of fact, right before I jumped on here, she had FaceTimed me. She's getting off of the night shift. So she's been in OB nights for 2 weeks. Got to deliver 7 babies.
Oh, yay!
I'm excited about that. But if they are going to the store, if they are out running errands, they're on the phone with one of us. So they'll call each other or they'll call me, and you will just go with them as they're going to the store running their errands.
I love that.
And that's just how my family is. Like, they just love to do that. And then our extended family, even, they are on Discord or they're on a gaming platform, and they're always talking to each other. So I think that's also really cool. When James said that, I was like, my kids are also really good friends, and I love that.
Yeah. My kids know they love each other. They don't always see eye to eye on things, but I think the thing that I've also been proud of that makes me reflect too is that I have a really good relationship with my children. Yeah. And that makes me really proud too. Like, yes, I would say that the three of us are very codependent as well. And so it's, sometimes I know I need to, break it a little bit. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I just really like it. And it works for us. It's not hurting anybody,
So part of James' statements hurts me a little bit, though, because when I first got to know James, his kids were smaller, and he says 14 and 16. I looked at it, I was like, is that possible? Yep, it probably is, but wow.
Well, I mean, think about Annabeth when we started Doodle and Chat.
Yeah.
She was, if this is really 8 seasons, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago. So no, she wasn't even 11. Was she? I don't even know. She's like, if I look back to the first time we did an idea flood with my kids, I think it was 7 or 8.
5th grade.
Probably. So that is 10, right?
5th grade, yeah.
Yeah. So we've been, and Anne's been here with us for a long time. I know Anne and I have had some mom struggles we've talked about offline. In private messages where we've, but parenting's hard, but it's also these kind of moments are fun.
I know.
And Anne and her kids connect with books. And I know you and one of your daughters, right, are really into books.
So actually all 3 of my girls are and my son likes to read too. He just reads different things. Like, he really likes to read about the brain and how people think and process and feel. He's a psychology major, so it makes a lot of sense, but he's always been very interested in things like that. And so he reads a lot of self-help type books, and just how people process information. But my daughters all read fantasy or romance. The second one has her own book podcast that they do. But we do share the love of books. And even when my daughters were younger, we had a competition through the summers who could read the most books. to see what we could do. But yeah, that is one of the things that we share, and we love to talk about books all the time.
I was just thinking, I'm not much of a reader, but this summer I've been really proud of myself because I started listening to books on my walk when I go walking, which is another addition to my life that is now that I'm remembering is my happy place. And I'm almost done with my third book. The second book I decided to read, it was just 24 hours long. So I got 10 more hours left. It was a little bit of a doozy, but it's been good. I love Stephen King, and it's a fairy tale by Stephen King, and it's been really good. So
24 hours long. I couldn't tell you how long the books are. I have started reading or listening to books on the way to school.
So I never thought I wanted to do that because I really love my radio music listening that I do in the morning, and I love to listen to my songs on the way home. But I started listening to books when I traveled to see my dad, and I'm like, okay, I see the appeal to this now. Yeah. I've realized that I need it to not be something related to work, and I think that was what my worry was because I wanted to listen to podcasts, but I'm afraid that I'm always going to listen to one that's going to let's enrich your brain. And I'm like, I don't want any of that. I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Now I see the appeal. So I probably will start listening to a book because my commute's like 40 minutes. So if I can finish a book a week,
Yeah. So I'm listening to a book series that I have previously read, but it has been a while. And so I should have known what was coming up. And I'm driving to work the other day, and it got to a really sad part of the book. And I was like, I hit pause. I'm like, you can't cry on the way to work. You can't cry. You can't go to work with makeup running down your face. So somebody had taught me a trick where if you're feeling emotional, you can just do math facts in your head.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes
the emotional part of your brain. So I did have to hit pause on the book. I did continue listening though, because once I kind of got my emotions in check, I was like, you do remember this part of the book. This is not as emotional as you thought. But then later I texted my 3 daughters that have read the book, and I was like, I was listening to this part of the book and it made me really sad. They're like, oh yeah, like ugly cry when that happened. So just make sure that you're not having some sad business on the way to school, because
I'll probably still listen to my radio on the way to work. I also am really loving, I think as far as Doodle and Chat with Friends goes, Michael and John hold the record for the longest question answered and the fewest doodles within the first half hour. Do you remember that?
Too.
I think we might have just matched them. The fact that it's been almost 45 minutes and we've only answered 2 questions. But I love what this says so much about us. It's so adorable. I just can't.
James is cracking me up. So James, to be honest with you, we were doing simple multiplication facts in the brain, and I'm a math teacher, and I was still like, we're just gonna multiply for a little bit. So that's just multiplication facts. We didn't get crazy.
That makes total sense. They say the 5 senses thing, right? So James could do name the words that start with A, he's a librarian. He can lean into that skill, right?
Yep. And it does. It just completely shuts down that emotional center and refocuses you on something different. Yes. So it worked. I can't remember where I heard it, but it worked.
Nice. So, Anne, I do not read fast enough. So any of the paces that the books read at, I am fine with. I know Mandi does hers at 2 times speed as well. But I was impressed. I listened to The Wild Robot, which I had never read. And I was blown away by the effort that audiobook productions are putting into their books now. The music, the sound effects. It was like I was walking and I could feel myself in the forest with the robot and the duck. And I was just blown away by the orchestra music and everything. I was like, they are really hustling hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, so when people say that audiobooks are reading, they are, because they're literally a movie in your ears, it's just Wow.
And that's what I'm listening to right now. This book series that I'm listening to is the dramatized version. And now I'm going to hate to go back to one that's not,
Right?
because like I've just been immersed in this. Like it has been so good.
Well, and
It's been so good.
Yeah, and the Stephen King one, that I'm writing it, like the narrator was award-winning, and I'm like, really, award-winning narrator, please. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. He is really good. I was like, okay, now I get it. How dare I doubt this award that he is,
Yeah. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. Really good stuff. Okay, these questions are amazing. How did you go from a bachelor's degree in history and political science to a high school math teacher? Why teaching? Who was that?
Math teacher.
That would have been one of your people because you're the math person. No pressure. Math teacher.
I don't remember who that was.
I don't either. I mean, I know like Michael Matera wasn't a teacher before he was a teacher. I'm trying to think of who else was.
That's been somebody recent. That was just last season, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I don't not remember who it was, but
I could go back. If I looked at my doodles, I would.
Yeah, it's a great question. I guess we would ask ourselves, like, were you anything else before a teacher? And why are you a teacher?
So I actually have, like, my first teacher was what I was going for, but I started with a math degree. And then when I was almost finished, I'm not sure what happened, but all of a sudden I was like, I think I should probably also get a degree in elementary education, which I did, because it wasn't that many more classes. And then so when I did my student teaching, I did my student teaching in elementary and high school both. And I quickly realized that lower elementary was definitely not for me. Upper elementary is even kind of questionable for me. I definitely was a high school teacher, but when I did my first teaching experience, they put me in a second grade classroom, and I came up with this great activity. Like I was so excited about it the day that the lady was going to come supervise me. I put on a wizard's hat. We were doing conjunctions. I made the paper that we pulled out of the hat so it would be like the conjunction, and then you open it up and you could see both words. Like I was like, this is the best activity ever. And when we got finished, the lady's like, you have mean eyes.
Oh, poor Mandi.
And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, a student interrupted you and you didn't say anything, but she's like, I was actually scared of your face too. She's like, can you like soften your gaze a little bit? Because that kid will probably never ask questions again.
Oh.
And I was like, perhaps second grade is not for me. So I guess I have mean eyes.
Aw, poor Mandi. I also spit on my paper.
I also really do enjoy teaching math, like a lot. And I loved it when I was doing it. I don't know what made me think, hey, you maybe also want to teach elementary, because I didn't. That was incorrect.
Yes. I can relate. Although in my old, so I don't even know if I've told this story before, but like I've always wanted to be a teacher. So when I was in elementary school, we had students with disabilities that were, back in the day, they were in like the little mobile homes off to the side. And I was a patrol, and I would help them, get to their classroom, and I got to meet the teacher, and I really, really loved it. And so they had summer school, and I would ride my bike to school during the summer. And when I say uphill, there really was a hill. And you guys, it was way steep. And I can specifically remember like this road that I had to turn on because there was no sidewalks. And it's one of those ones with the blind curve. And I remember, riding my bike and remembering that if I was going to take that curb, I needed to be on the opposite side of the street so that I could see the car coming at me, because I didn't want it be from behind. Anyways, so really big hill up. So I rode my bike to school every day during their summer school. I loved it. I loved that experience so much. And that was in 5th grade. And I remember thinking through my middle school years and even my high school years, can I just get done with this so that I can go to college, because I want to be a teacher? So that was
Wow.
that was my story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I know.
That's a great story.
Thank you.
You don't have thank you, Anne.
It was a horrible story. You know what? I had a superintendent many years ago who made it, I'm going to say their task that they wanted to observe all the new-ish teachers. And so I'll never forget, they came into my classroom to observe me, and they sat behind me at my desk, and I was teaching, like, I'm not going to sit behind my desk, right? So I was teaching in front of my desk, and they had some words to say, you know, something about, I think, how I said all the time, or something like how I questioned, and that sat with me for a long time. It's just, we have to be careful as professionals what we say to
Yes.
teachers, because it's, you know, teaching's personal. And yes, there's probably things that, you know, yes, your eye is probably, or there could have been a different way that you could have interacted with the student, but like to say it like that was so harsh and abrasive. But she did keep you from going to second grade, which was not your calling.
It wasn't my calling. Yes, absolutely. And in high school, I can,
yes,
as a teacher, I really could just look at a kid and be like, we're going to talk later, with just my eyes. The problem is my eyes are very light colored, and I know you don't see that on the screen, but they are like a green gray color, but they're very light. And so if there's a lot of light in the room, they almost have like a glowing quality, like not kind of almost in a creepy way. And so I wonder if when I looked at that kid, like maybe they're like, oh, great, we've got a demon in the room. Like that's what's happening right now.
But it does matter how we, you know,
yes,
how we, not criticize, but how we correct people, right?
Right.
Yes. Because people remember how we make them feel.
Oh yeah. Like I've told that story before. I tell that story to people all the time that, yeah, like usually from my perspective, it's like, don't stare into the soul of a second grader because it makes them uncomfortable. Like, maybe that's not how you interact with the second grader. I don't know.
I know. And I remember I picked middle school. Middle school was where I did my student teaching. And I think I picked it because they said that either you love it or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I wanted to do the hardest thing I could. I always loved a good challenge. And I thought middle school would be the challenge. But as I've worked with 8th graders more and more, I've told some of my teacher friends, I'm like, oof, if I didn't have like 26 years in at this building, which there's no need to move, honestly, at this point, there's no value in it, honestly. In education, that's another thing that's, you know, bad, is once you're at a place for so long, it's, unless you're going to go into admin, it's really not very monetarily beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyways, I also could work with high schoolers. They're that 8th grade freshman year, I could, that's a fun age. For sure.
I taught freshmen for a long
time. I imagine it's a fun age.
It is. And my last year, and don't hear me wrong, my last year in the classroom, I had all upperclassmen and I loved those kids. But there was just something about that freshman age group that just really pulls on my heartstrings. And so I did miss my freshmen when I moved to upperclassmen.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably the same experience. Like I taught 6th grade for a long time in a middle school. 6th, 7th, and 8th. And wow, I love 6th graders. You know, I imagine that freshmen have that same
they're just their own group of people.
And I don't care what age child is, kids are weird. They say we're weird. Kids are weird. I mean that in the best, most endearing way, but human beings as a whole, I guess I would say, we're weird.
So I remember I had a poster hanging on the wall, freshman, and she actually graduated last year. And even though I wasn't at the school, she still sent me an invite to her graduation. So I was walking along and I had tape on the wall and I could tell that a piece was kind of flipped back a little bit. And I was like, is that hair? Did somebody like brush up against that and like pulled their hair out and like, oh no, like if we have spare hair every day, we just stick it to that tape. Why?
Oh,
why are you doing that?
That's a slower thing to do. That's just nasty.
Like, why? And she's like, I don't know. Like, we just did it one day, and then every day we just kept doing it. So I had like a ball of hair stuck to the tape. I said, we're going to stop because that's gross. So I actually took the poster down because I'm like, no, we're not going to have a hairball.
It's been violated by hair. It's done.
But freshmen will do that.
Yeah. Well, and Anne is reminding me too. I remember, I think this came up in our conversation when she was on with us, that she started off with a geology degree.
Yep.
And James was a music teacher. Yeah, people's paths are fascinating to me. I feel like, you know?
Yep. And we're all drawn to that calling of education. So
yes, for different reasons.
That's right.
I also, like, I wish I would have put the bike here, which is okay. But how in love are you with your drawing? Like, this is just making me so happy.
I'm liking it.
All right, I think we have time for one more.
Good.
I know, right? This is just the bowl. I just can't even with the bowl right now. It's a haiku.
Of course it is. Let's end with a haiku.
There we go.
I love it.
On a high note. Answers in peacetime. Beasts of love blossoms once more. Hustle of yonder.
I don't even know what to say about that. Beast of love blossoms once more. Answers in peacetime. Hustle of yonder.
I mean, do we want to pass on this one? Or do we want to go for it?
I have no emotional connection to that whatsoever. Like, I'm trying to.
Okay, we'll do one more. We don't usually do this. This will be our like wild card for season 8. Here we go. We used it in the second episode.
You get one pass. We've used it. Done.
Oh, perfect. This is perfect. This is perfect. Who is your favorite musician, band, or group? Thank you, Bull. The Bull tried to deter us, but we just weren't ready for it. It does its best.
We were not.
What is your favorite band, musician, or group? Look at a couple.
And I have never been good with favorite questions. Of anything. Favorite movie, favorite book. People always ask. I'm like, I don't know. Because I like a variety of things.
Me too.
And like, I could tell you things that I've listened to over and over again. I could tell you things that I have read over and over again or watched over and over again, but I don't know that I would call them my favorite. So I don't know. Let me think. I mean, like, I can tell you a couple of songs that the first time I heard them, they spoke directly into my heart. Like Walk Like an Egyptian from the Bangles.
Oh, yeah. I think I had that cassette.
Because you know, sometimes you listen to a song and you're like, it's just okay. And then the more you listen to it, the more you're like, yeah, it's pretty good. I could listen to this a lot. The first time I heard Walk Like an Egyptian, I was like, this is the best song I've ever heard in my life. There was something about it that just hit home with me. And I still, anytime I hear that song, immediately, we're going to sing, we're going to dance. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I was never much of a music person until the streaming services came up, because it never made sense to me to buy an album if I wasn't sure I was going to like it, you know? And so now I'm obsessed with music. I love it. But my favorite artist right now, I would say, is still ZZ Ward. And I know Mandi's heard this before. I think we talked about it with Joy when we were on her podcast. And then we've also talked about, because I think your son likes him too, Earl St. Clair. I really like him too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just like artists that kind of break the tradition of music. They seem to be able to bring different instruments together in a unique way. And then I think like when we were, back in our 80s, if an artist made a song, most of their songs sounded very similar, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate an artist I find that can bring music out in very different ways all the time and kind of like really capture. And I really, really love, and I know both of these artists do that. I really love when I'm listening to a song and there's this like picture that you can feel the story being told.
Yeah.
I really, really like that as well.
Yep. So also growing up, like I was a huge AC/DC fan. Like if it was AC/DC, I would listen to it. But I think they have a very good base in all of their songs. And I think that's like, that is what would elicit that feeling for me. So when I listen to music, I honestly, until recently, haven't really started listening to the words. And sometimes I get tickled with the TikToks. So like, I'm listening to music from when I was growing up and I listened to the words and went, my kids can't listen to this. And that has happened to me a few times. I'll be listening to it. I was like, oh, that's not good. And I sang those words. Now
Yes.
thinking what those words meant. And now I'll be like, that's probably not good.
I know I had a song on. The weather's been so nice and I have a Jeep. So we had the top down yesterday and a song came on and I started listening to it. And I was like, I looked at Tia, I said, is this what I think it's about? I'm like, I think it's about sex. And I'm like, it's not good. And it's really playing loud right now. I'm like, I think I need to change the song. And she's like, yes, you need to change that. You need to turn that off right now, please.
It's funny. Yeah. I mean, that happens. I also like to listen to 80s pop. So like when I get on Spotify, I don't usually listen to most current music. Even if I'm in the car and I'm listening to music, I have an alternative radio station that I like to listen to. But yeah, if I have Spotify on, I'm usually in the 80s that I'm listening to music. So
yeah. Oh, I love thinking about music. And then, so Anne said, James said, Jukebox the Ghost. I'm going to have to try. I've never heard of them. So I wrote that down. I'm going to have to try them.
And I don't even know what genre that is. Because I do have to admit, I will not listen to country music.
No, I will not.
For any reason. Like, I just won't.
Yeah, no, I'm not a country fan either. I also really, really like the Bee Gees and Earth, Wind and Fire. So I really, anything with that disco orchestra vibe, I really, really like it. Did I tell you, Annabeth, that I went to see Earth, Wind and Fire in concert?
No.
I think it was like, I don't know, a month ago. They're old, but it was so good. We saw Earth, Wind and Fire in Chicago, and they were very old. Like we looked up their ages, like they're my dad's age. But the Earth, Wind and Fire had either one guy's son or two guys' sons, and it was sweet. Like it was a family affair. They were still so good. They were jamming. I mean, if I can move like they can when I'm 80, I will be a happy person because oh my goodness.
I know.
They were jamming.
James, I'm excited to check that band out. I'll have to see.
Ooh, piano pop rock. Oh, I like that.
So that's the other thing. I'm also really bad with band names. Like somebody will play a song. I'm like, oh yeah, I really like that song. And they're like, oh, it's by so-and-so. I'm like,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's another guy that does, if anybody's watched Ted Lasso, you know, like do you know what I'm talking about? You know, when Rebecca pulls a street performer off, his name is Cam Cole. He does some really good stuff too. That I really like. It's kind of metalish, but with all his it's all him.
Yep.
So I really like his stuff too.
Look at that.
I know. So fun. It's like a timeline of our life.
It really is.
This is the leastest Doodle and Chat of the Doodle and Chats.
So I didn't fill my page, but I will just shrink my page down and it'll be okay.
No, I love this.
Yeah. This was really fun. 4 questions. Well, 5 questions if we count the haiku that we tossed out.
Yeah. I mean, and also just, I don't know, for anybody out there listening, like this, you know, everybody's going to have kids with different degrees of desires to draw things, but like I've always been, I bring a lot of our Doodle and Chat classy activities into my classroom to try. And they tend to be a good beginning of the year thing to do. But I feel like this, you know, a bowl with getting to know questions.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. And I actually shared this idea with the teachers in our new teacher orientation the other day. So I always did get to know you questions as well, not in doodle format, which I absolutely love that idea. And then I kept those papers. And so for an end of class routine, as they were packing up, because I never let them line up at the door in high school, bad things happen at the door.
Yes.
I would pull out those cards and I would say, so this person's favorite book is this. Who do you think it is? And
Wait,
then,
okay, we have a couple minutes. Tell me again how you did this. I love this idea.
so I had them fill out like one of those little, tell me a little bit about you. And I think mine was in like it was fun. Like it would have a book and what's your favorite book? And it had like a movie, like it had images on it. I could probably go dig it up somewhere. And I would ask them all of these questions about themselves, siblings, and they could answer what they were comfortable with and what they weren't comfortable with. But it was just tons of questions about each person. And then I would collect them and I would keep them in a stack by hour. And so I would, at the end, like have 2 or 3 minutes left. As they're packing up, I would randomly draw one out. I would say, okay, so this person has 4 siblings. Who do you think that person is? And I would let them kind of guess. And if there was more than one person that had 4 siblings, because I had already kind of looked through it, I would say, and this person also has this favorite book. And so as we would go through those through the year, then you would get to know your classmates a little bit better. And it occupied their time those last few minutes of class, so they weren't trying to line up at the door.
I love that idea. Look at that. Chats, doodles, and beginning of the year.
That's
ideas.
right. But it's good. I mean, I was all about building that community in my classroom.
Absolutely.
And so that was a really fun way to do it. Because when I would say, so this person has 4 siblings, and then they would look around, they realize, well, more than one person has 4 siblings. You're right. So let's pull in other questions.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you about low stakes at first, for sure, you know, and that's a nice low stakes one.
Yep.
So fun. So fun. Well, if you were here with us and you drew along with us as Mandi and I tried to survive the bowl that knows, and boy, oh boy, was it just spot on today. Please be sure to share out your Doodle and Chat on Twitter or any social media platform using hashtag Doodle and Chat so Mandi and I can see all the fun that you had with us here today. And then join us back here next week for a Doodle and Chat original where we do the same thing, except for not questions. It's just random prompts. We call it Doodle and Chat original because it goes back to how it all started. And then friends can be on the lookout too on social media. Idea, which with Mandi and I have both attended and presented at, has an Idea which I'll just pitch them. It's a very affordable, you can watch it on demand or live. It's happening for the next 3 weekends, but they've asked me to sketchnote the sessions. So I'm having fun there. It's not too late to sign up. I think it's like $30 a day, maybe, and $60 for all 3 weekends. And there's 4 speakers. Many of them are Doodle and Chat past friends, and there's even a couple of new ones. So lots of great learning happening. If you just search Idea you can find it there. So yeah, so we'll see everybody here where we always are every Saturday morning at 9:33ish Central Standard Time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.